So today we're reacting to the biggest mistake in ever Call of Duty by Chaos. Now, this dude's lists are terrible. Just terrible. You have the zombies one, which was like the worst zombies list I've ever seen in my life. So let's just see.
And Martyrdom. It's kind of a tough one here because there was a handful of things about COD 4 that really bugged me as much as I love the game as a whole. If I had to pick one, I think it would have to be Martyrdom. It was a yellow perk that would drop a live grenade on your body whenever you died.
See, Martyrdom's okay.
COD
It's
4
not like the worst thing ever, though.
You could drop one on your body every single time you died.
Like, it was worse in World at War, I feel.
Chaos, no pun intended. Now, I loved COD 4, but there was a handful of things that made it a little worse than it could have been, and Martyrdom was one of those. One thing that is not going to make anything worse is having your G Fuel stocked up. Guys, if you get anything from G Fuel, the new Morbius flare, the new Uncharted flavor, use code CHAOS. Link is at the top of the description. And if you do, go over to Twitter. That link is up there as well. And let me know you did so I can show you some love as well. Now we arrive at World at War. The MP40. Never before in Call of Duty has a single weapon destroyed the balance of the entire game like the MP40.
The FAMAS from Black Ops 1, the Galil from Black Ops 1, the Model 1887s from Modern Warfare 2, the was the MP5? No, the MP7 in MW3. Do I have to continue?
He did. This SMG had a pretty low fire rate, but it dealt up to 59 damage with no stopping power, which made it hands down the best gun in the game. Plus, you could throw on a 64-round drum mag and never worry about getting caught in a reload, or you could just throw on double tap to make it shoot super fast while it killed in 2 bullets. I mean, it was unanimously considered overpowered, but since this game came out in 2008, before patching consoles was mainstream, it never got fixed, ever. You could still experience it to this day if you could go find a lobby that's not completely hacked. Maybe you could just go on COD Plutonium. Modern Warfare 2. We're going to cheat. One-man army and danger close. Here it is. The combination of kings. One-man army was a blue perk. It allowed you to change your class without dying, while danger close would dramatically increase your explosive damage. So you mix those two things together in a Harry Potter potion, and you've got a recipe for unlimited noob tubes. People would use these two perks together to sit in the corner of the edge of a map, fire noob tubes 100 yards away, refill them, and do it until they got their free nuke. One-man army and danger close became such a massive problem that IW even had a fix ready, but due to the legal issues between them and Activision, it never went live. The COD community still debates over whether this should have been fixed in the multiplayer remaster, assuming it's still coming, and I definitely think it should be if it does come out. This ruined Modern Warfare 2 back in the day, and we don't need another year of that. Black Ops 1. It's hard to find fault with Black Ops 1, so I'm going to go with the gun balance. Yeah. We'll get a little broader.
I just said the things that were wrong with Black Ops 1. You have Second Chance. You have the FAMAS being overpowered. You have the Galil being overpowered. You have the snipers absolutely being terrible. Like, they were awful. Like, for like the first like 6 months, snipers were like non-existent in the game. The SMGs were meh to okay, with the exception of like the 74U. That's about it. There's a lot of things about Black Ops 1 multiplayer wise that completely shafted it for me. That's the reason why on my COD tier list it's like at a fucking C. Like, honestly.
The original Black Ops, but I'll be the first to admit the gun balance was not the best. There were close to 40 guns available in multiplayer, but you really only saw 5 of them online. Those being the FAMAS, the AUG, the AK-74U, the Galil, and sometimes a Commando or an AK-47. You rarely saw LMGs, you rarely saw snipers, and most of the SMG category was straight up unviable. I adore Black Ops 1, and I know I'm not alone in that, but the gun balance was some of the worst in COD history now that I look back at it, and it kind of makes me sad. Modern Warfare 3. The support streaks. I've talked my fair share of smack about the support streaks in Modern Warfare 3.
The support streaks weren't terrible, though. Like, they really, like... Okay, with the exception of Juggernaut Recon, it's supposed to be for support. You get the UAV, you get advanced UAV, you get counter spy plane, or counter UAV, you get all the support streaks that like destroy kill streaks, which I don't see anything wrong with it. Honestly, I don't. I never did.
Well, I still think they're a good idea on paper. They were not implemented right. They weren't. Modern Warfare 3 was the first time players had an option of kill streaks that did not reset upon death, but in return, the streaks you earned were weaker and non-lethal, supposedly. Most of them. At the top of the support streak package, though, was the no-kill multi-skill, the Stealth Bomber, and then the EMP, and the Juggernaut Recon, and the Escort Airdrop. Now, most of the support streaks were harmless, like UAVs, ballistic vests, SAM turrets, and other things that were a good addition to the game. But why were there such powerful streaks put in the support category? Why was it possible for a good player to get the Stealth Bomber and EMP multiple times a match without even going on a streak?
Stealth Bomber was
think
not
support streaks were a
really
good
like
idea
used
because
much,
they helped the
and
less skilled
EMP
dudes contribute more to the
not
match.
many people
But
used
Infinity Ward and
much.
Sledgehammer
So I
were
wouldn't say it
too
was.
generous
EMP
with
is
some of the
supposed to be support anyway.
Black Ops 2. The security. Black Ops 2 had an amazing multiplayer experience. A lot of COD players still think it's the best ever released, but it's pretty much unplayable now unless you're playing on Plutonium on the PC. Consoles? No. I mean, Black Ops 2 is completely hacked up, and that's really the only problem I can think of. The console security in Black Ops 2 is noticeably worse than the
Okay, for Black Ops 2, the only thing I can think of for Black Ops 2 that's bad, honestly, perks are good. Kill streaks were. I think Black Ops 2 had the best kill streaks. The only thing I can think of are the shotguns. That's pretty much all I can really think of. They had that red screen gun, the fucking pump action. The KSG was like the slug shotgun was used far fucking range. So yeah, I would say the biggest mistake in Black Ops 2 was the shotguns. And that's all I can really say. You could say Nuketown, but Nuketown's in every Black Ops game and it's always going to be shit. So
rest of the series, and I don't know why. Maybe it's because the game was just more played than others, or maybe there was really something about the security that was worse than normal on the console, but it was by far the most hacked up COD game to date, and that largely contributed to it dying on the Xbox and PlayStation. I mean, Black Ops 2 is
debatable,
still completely
very
playable on the
debatable.
Xbox consoles through
I think
backwards
World at War
compatibility,
went
but
faster.
Is anyone really doing it? If you want to play Black Ops 2 in 2022, you go to COD Plutonium on the PC. It's clean, it's super populated, but if you want to play this game on console, have fun. COD Ghosts. The map design. The core gameplay of Ghost is good. I think most.
Okay, so I only got one problem map for Ghosts, and that was Stonehaven or Stonewall. Besides that, I didn't mind any of the other maps. The guns were good. They actually worked. They actually killed. Okay, so the problem I have with Ghosts is the prestiging system with the whole new character thing. I was not into that at all.
Most of us will agree. But what made the game so hated was the map design and the colors, which was so big and complicated that it destroyed the flow of almost every single match you got into.
It was just one
The
map,
movement was
really.
good. The sound design was pretty good. The weapon selection was good, but the maps killed COD Ghosts, and I still believe they were designed for 10v10 by default. If
They were.
Ghost had launched with a good lineup of 6v6 maps, I honestly think the community would have thought different. There's no way that COD Ghost would be viewed as one of the worst games in the series today if the maps had been better. And I
It's
think that's a
not one of
huge
the worst
reason why the
games.
community
That's
looks
for
back
damn
at Ghost
sure.
DLC so fondly. The DLC maps in the game, they fixed a lot of the problems that most people had, but since they cost extra cash, a lot of people skipped on them and they never experienced them, which is a shame. Ghost had some really good core mechanics, but the maps, come on, they sucked all the fun right out of it.
Yeah,
Advanced Warfare,
debatable. Like I said, one map.
supply drops. This is where it all started.
Yeah,
This is
supply
where-
drops
That's where
definitely.
things really took a nosedive.
AW's supply drops
Advanced
were
Warfare didn't
bullshit.
exactly age well, but it was a fresh, exciting experience back in the day when it came out, and people who weren't even COD fans were joining in on the fun because it was different. The supply drop system. Well,
Yeah, supply drops in the
there's
AW were
so
definitely
many weapon
bullshit.
variants locked behind these slot machines, and
Especially
so
how
many
much
of them
money
were overpowered
Jeb and them
to get you paying
went
the big
through.
bucks
Like
for
Jeb
it.
still hasn't gotten
Black
that
Ops would
purple,
have
I
a
believe.
long effect on the multiplayer genre as a whole. And Advanced Warfare
It's a nade shot. How many
all the variants were available
fucking,
for
like,
direct purchase, which was
months to
kinda
get the
hurtful in-game
speakeasy?
currency.
Like,
It probably could have been a completely different story, but it wasn't. Black Ops 3. One gun. The Brachy. Single biggest
No,
problem with
like
it? Single most hated gun in COD history?
Black Ops 3. Okay, so the Brecci, it's good, but it's not the best gun in the fucking game. It's just not. Like half the maps, like it's unusable in, like completely. Those maps are large scaled maps to begin with. Um, Black Ops 3's problem. Honestly, I feel like for me, Black Ops 3's issue is the specialist. Hands down, the specialist. Like, you don't even need to get any kills to get a fucking war machine. Like, what's the point of having a kill streak at that point? And it gets, like, added so much points to said kill streak. Like, if you get a kill with a war machine, it's 125 to 150 points a kill. And if you get a multi-kill, that's even more. So, what's the point? That I think specialist should be the biggest mistake for Black Ops 3.
Semi-auto shoddy, way too easy to use, way too powerful, and it had one counter: itself. The shotgun completely dominated the multiplayer experience in BO3, and if you saw somebody using it, you would immediately just switch to your own Brecci class, because that's the
I have
way
a
the
big
game was
thing.
played.
The
Black Ops 3 was
SMGs.
a fantastic game.
Is
I
that's
still
the
think
counter
it's
to
one of
that,
best
the
COD
SMGs.
multiplayers ever released, but the second the Brecci came into play, it's no fun. It astonishes me. This gun was never nerfed, not a single time, despite the community outrage, and unfortunately kicked off an annoying trend of spam shotguns in Call of Duty. Infinite Warfare. The Proteus, the infamous aimbot sniper rifle. It was a shotgun sniper hybrid that was released as DLC a few months into the game cycle.
I never played. I played IW
Infinity Ward had to
beta.
remove
That's
the
it.
gun from the game mere hours after
Oh,
it
and the
was
trial
launched,
they had
which was a
for
design flaw. When you
Xbox.
used the gun in shotgun mode, it was
I never
programmed to
played it.
always land at least one pellet on an enemy player as long as you were facing him. Well, you know what that means? That meant you could go into hardcore modes, jump around, spam the right trigger, cross-map people with absolutely no skill or strategy. The gun literally had an aimbot built into it, and somehow nobody caught it. Infinity Ward patched it pretty quickly, but it's still one of the most remembered aspects of the entire game. COD World War II. Divisions. This game tried to scale things back to basics, but they ended up going too
COD World War II. I would say the entire game until like what was it, April of that year. Like honestly, it was just the entire game was meh. The divisions didn't really bother me at all. I liked the perks you got out of them.
COD
For the
World War
most
II was
part.
the first game since COD 3 did not have perks in multiplayer. Instead, we had divisions. You would pick between one of the divisions and basically get a bunch of built-in perks that really wasn't received well by the community. After all, the game was taking away customization, forced you to use one of 5 divisions instead of letting you mix and match your 3 perks to make your character feel unique. I mean, the multiplayer overhaul fixed a lot of those in COD World War II, but the divisions remain to this day, and I still think they're the biggest mistake Sledgehammer made. COD World War II has really good movement.
Vanguard's the
It's
biggest
all good,
mistake they've
so if
ever made.
Customization had been there. Woo, could have been different. Black Ops 4. The bare bones playlist. Now, before you dislike the video, let me explain. Black Ops 4 was praised for its gameplay. Heavily criticized, though, for the specialists being spammy and cheap. A lot of people begged Treyarch to add a no specialist playlist so it would feel more like classic Call of Duty, and when they did it, they called it bare bones. So why do I think it was a mistake? Well, because it took Treyarch almost a full year to add it. Why? I don't know. Do you have any idea how many people would have played Black Ops 4 if the bare bones was an option from day one to this day?
Honestly, Black Ops 4's issue was it was everything really. It was the fact that it was 5v5. They had the maps felt too large for 5v5. They had you can tell they were trying to this was supposed to be like Black Ops 3's movement system with the jetpacks and all that shit. Like a bunch of these maps deserve to be there with the jetpack system. Nuketown was this was the worst Nuketown we've ever gotten, hands down, the worst. But the specialist again, I wasn't a fan. Although I loved Zero's hacking system, I loved that to death. Hacking everything, like from enemy equipment to enemy kill streaks, I enjoyed that. That was pretty much like the Black Hat from Black Ops 2, but as a specialist. I felt like that's the only specialist. That and the dude who heals his teammates. Those are the only 2 specialists I don't mind too much.
4 players insist that bare bones was the best way to experience multiplayer, so why was it not there earlier? There's so many people who put the game down long before the option was ever there. Modern Warfare 2019. The mini-map. I mean, the game sounded and looked phenomenal. It was by far
Oh, no. Okay, like the whole minimap situation that I have with Modern Warfare 2019, I liked not showing up on the minimap because that means I don't have to run silencer on every fucking class. Um so like on one hand I do enjoy it that way. It's just the way it's supposed to be in my opinion. The problem I had with Call of Duty 2019 or Modern Warfare 2019, um, honestly, the gun balancing was a big problem, huge problem, especially when you had the snake shots, you had the AUG, you had the AUG with what was it 7.76 or something like that, um, that was garbage. Um, the Olympia type gun, like the double barrel Olympia type gun, that was able to cross map a lot. So
the most immersive COD game ever released. But if we're talking about it from a gameplay standpoint, most people point to the mini-map as the biggest problem.
yeah, look,
Like other
snake
COD
shots.
games, this mini-map didn't show enemies as red dots.
Didn't
when they
care
were
about
firing a
the
weapon.
mini map
Instead,
too much.
you have
That
to
wasn't
have
really a huge
immunity or
issue.
personal radar in the air for that effect to happen. Meaning, most of the time, enemies were able to fire off with impunity, and you won't have a quick idea of where they are. I know a lot of people say adapt, get good, Jimmy, but the problem with the mini-map working this way is the fact you didn't have a quick idea of where enemies were, and there was no immediate consequence for firing your gun. So, Modern Warfare 2019 played a lot slower. Nobody wanted to move around because they didn't know if enemies were going to sneak up on them, and they didn't want to play stealthy because what was the point? It was a very campy game. Black Ops Cold War. Ranked mode. Fans were excited for ranked mode to make a comeback in Cold War, and I bet all of you already know.
You know what my problem with it? Skill-based matchmaking. That's my problem with it. That's my problem with any of these newer Call of Duty games. I noticed that the MW in 2019 was the gun balancing with the snake shot and the shotgun one shot. Let me rephrase that. Skill-based matchmaking is the biggest problem with Modern Warfare, Cold War, and Vanguard.
Know why it's on the list. Cold War had a lot of problems throughout its life cycle, but I think the biggest design flaw in the entirety was ranked mode. The layout was bizarre, the ranking system made no sense. There were people who dominated their placement matches, getting placed lower skill with others. I mean, there was ones who had a 50% win rate. There were even reports of people losing placement points even though they won the match. Cold War's ranking system was a mess. I still don't understand why every new COD game can't just copy and paste the rank system from Black Ops 2. It was perfect. And finally, Vanguard. Packet burst. It's had its fair share of problems.
The entire game, dude.
What has been causing it to me is packet burst. While it's
It's like
obviously
not even
not
just packet.
intentional,
It's the entire game. The entire game is the mistake. The entire game of Vanguard is the mistake. The campaign is shallow. It's got like it has a story no one actually gives a shit about. The zombies, not even the zombies YouTubers, not even like Noah J played it for like maybe an hour, let's be honest. Like he did like maybe like 4 or 5 streams of it, let's be honest. Mr. T Lexify, he's like, it's dog shit, and it's dog shit. The multiplayer, you have Blame Truth has been shitting on it since release. You have Thunder has been shitting on it since release. He actually went back to MW 2019, which gives you a freaking idea of how bad it is. The fact that Blame Truth went back to Cold War, Cold War is his like most boring Call of Duty in his opinion. He falls asleep with it. You have all these like COD YouTubers that have pretty much quit Vanguard, like posting Vanguard videos, or they're forced to post Vanguard videos because they're a Call of Duty YouTube channel. It kind of explains itself. It really explains itself on how terrible Vanguard is. It has no good qualities whatsoever. Campaign is shallow. No one gives a shit about it. It's just nothing but flashbacks. The zombies are boring and just not interesting at all. The multiplayer, I played the multiplayer for like 15 hours. I hit the only thing I did was hit Prestige for that free weekend for 2 days. I played for 2 days and hit the top rank and hit Prestige. I haven't played since because I'm not getting the game, first of all. The only way I will get it is if it's like gifted to me, because I do not care about Vanguard. The guns are like, I'm like, if I want to play World War II shooter, I'd play COD World War II, or I'd play World at War. I can play Plutonium like right now. It's not that big of an issue. So yeah, like Vanguard, the entire game. It's not just like one specific thing. The entire game of Vanguard is a mistake.
Still calling it the biggest design flaw of the entire game because there's no way Sledgehammer didn't see it during development, and there's really no excuse for it still being a problem 4 months after release. Packet burst is basically when the connection between your game and the server goes dark for a second or two, and then the game tries to rapidly make the connection back up all at once, resulting in massive stutters and hefty lag for a few seconds. The packet burst in Vanguard is so frequent and so predictable, some people have straight up quit the game until it's fixed, which it's that bad. So while you may have some other ideas as to what the worst thing is in Vanguard, I honestly think packet burst takes the cake. No other
The entire game, like I said,
universal effect on every match.
the entire game is complete bullshit.
That's the biggest mistake in every single Call of Duty. Let me know if you agree or disagree.
Okay, so I agree to certain things and I disagree to a lot of things. Like I said, Vanguard is the entire game, just the entire game straight up. I never played Advanced Warfare besides like the trial they gave us for like, was it level 15 on multiplayer and like level 5 on zombies, and then like 2 missions from the campaign or some shit like that. Yeah, honestly, that's it. Just fuck, dude. Honestly, it's just the entire thing of Vanguard's garbage. And I'm going back to playing. No, I'm not. I was gonna go back and play Elden Ring, but yeah. So that's it from this video. I am going to a concert tomorrow. I won't be recording tomorrow, but I probably will have 2 videos up because I made an extra one because the Elden Ring video is like 3.5 minutes long. I wasn't expecting it to be that short, so yeah. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care. Peace.